Now, all the eyes in Washington right about now are on the Congress and what it may or may not be doing to bring the government to a standstill, or not to a standstill as of tonight. And as that happens, many of the eyes will be on the hundreds of thousands of DoD workers who will be furloughed if this takes place starting tomorrow morning. But those who are looking past this episode, also ahead to the coming debate on the debt ceiling, may recall that it was these last debates over the debt ceiling that produced a sequestration, the effects of which animate the discussion that we're going to have here tonight. So sequestration, the debt ceiling debate, and the shutdown of the government are the backdrop against which some of the tough decisions need to be made about the defense industrial workforce.
I do think it's time for a sort of fresh analysis of DoD organization, starting with headquarters, but you know, if you're really looking for the large pots of money, as Christine will tell you, it's not there. It's primarily in the services. But I think there were things we could afford to layer on and sort of grow in a period of budget growth. And you know, I'm a bit of a gardener. I wish I had more time to garden, but you know, you do have to do a certain weeding and pruning to grow a healthy garden. And I do think we are definitely in a weeding and pruning period. And I think beyond just cutting back what we have, there are some fundamental questions about where does it make sense to consolidate. My favorite example, and this will get me hate mail, but I'll say it anyway, is, you know, do we need 3 separate medical infrastructures from each of the 3 services? For example, there are lots of other candidates.
An area that we're very concerned about is we think sometimes we talk about industrial base, we think about big tank plants or airplane factories, but reality is we have a lot of suppliers who are very small, and the fact that, you know, we have several hundred or thousand engineers, we lose some. But some of our suppliers have very critical technologies, and just losing a few key people could have a big impact. And some of them are really having a tough time with the actually borrowing money and being able to remain stable. Just in the last year, we've had to purchase 2 of our small suppliers who had very important technology. So it's a very challenging environment.
The biggest thing that would help us is to backload the reductions. Let us do it strategically and put in place the things that would take to get the levels down so that the budget is reduced in the out years, but give us the time to get there. That would not force us to do these non-strategic things and to hurt the workforces badly.
We need to go back to the two-way street and partnership that existed when I first went to work on the Hill in the 70s and through the 80s and even into the early 90s. In all administrations, in all Congresses, it didn't matter. Industry was a partner, and there was a two-way street, and there was a dialogue, and industry was viewed as a contributor and a valued partner. And then somehow we got away from that, and it became a little bit more of an us versus them environment. And we need to kind of break those barriers down and get that dialogue going again. I know Brett worked extremely hard in his years as industrial base. I know Sean Stackley, the head of acquisition in the Navy, is working really, really hard to do that, because we understand the government's the customer. We want to support that customer. We want to deliver what you want us to deliver. On the other hand, though, you know, we in a for-profit company, you have board of directors and fiduciary responsibilities. We have to deliver for our shareholders as well. And that's, I think, Dave, Christine, I think you need to have a long-term working relationship. And I think we've got to figure out a way to get the lawyers out of the pattern. You know, there are 12,000 lawyers in the Department of Defense. That's a lot of lawyers, even for a, you know, Department of Defense. We got to get the lawyers out of the mix and put the technical people and the engineers and the program managers and industry back together, and then maybe once every 5 years invite the lawyers to come to a meeting.